the other person could have, let's say, a red mark or a scratch. Hey everybody, this is David Kohlmeier, the Problem Solver. Good afternoon. Thursdays at 4:30, we go live every single week, having amazing people on the Problem Solver, helping people solve problems every single week. I have different people that come on the show: community activists, leaders, business leaders, lawyers, medical providers, nonprofit leaders, you name it. We're bringing people on the show, asking them how they are solving problems in the community. We're here in Las Vegas. We represent North Las Vegas, Henderson, Clark County, entire state, United States of America. We're here to help people solve their problems. We have tons of referral resources to help people. As you know, I'm a retired police officer of 17 years. I was a New York City police officer, came out here to Vegas. I was a Henderson police officer, and now I'm retired, basically helping people through the Problem Solver. So again, welcome to the show today. Today I have some amazing people on the show. I have my beautiful co-host, Beja Rivera. Thanks, Beja, for co-hosting today.
Thank you so much for having me here.
And then I have my Mr. Good Looking, the Miracle 35 shows up here today. We have Danny Miner. Danny Miner, thanks for showing up today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So the reason why today, Beja, I wanted to bring Danny Miner on because he is becoming a little bit of a TikTok sensation. We've had one other TikTok person on the show that had 13 million followers, which was Sonia.
Wow.
And we have Danny Miner, who basically has got about 50, 60,000 followers. So I wanted to bring him on the show because he is a retired police officer, 27 years in law enforcement. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service too.
Thank you. Thank you. And I wanted to, you're getting very, what I would say, I was about to say loud, but you're getting very vocal these days on TikTok about things that are going on, like defunding the police, Ukraine, gas, inflation. So it's such a crazy time. So I figured to have a person, you coming on the show to talk about these things would be great. So then, thanks again so much for coming.
Awesome.
So tell me a little bit about how do you come up with the Miracle 35? Everyone's got these TikTok names and numbers.
The Miracle 35 came, as you know, I played in the World Series of Poker 5 different times. I've been coming out to Vegas before I moved out here 6 years ago to play in the World Series of Poker. And when I played poker, every time I get low on chips, I'm not sure if you're familiar with poker or not, I'd always say, my God, I need a miracle. I need a miracle. And I would get that miracle all the time. So my friends started calling me the Miracle, and it just stuck. And it all has nothing to do with podcast, anything, or TikTok. It has to do with the World Series of Poker. Truth.
So where does the 35 come from?
My football number.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was my football number.
I laugh because these days everyone on TikTok that they have like the name and the number. So I'm like the Problem Solver 702. You know, like
right.
You got to have the name and the number. It seems like to make it work. You know.
Right.
So what do you right now? How long have you been on TikTok? How long have you been being vocal?
You know what? I started on TikTok, of course, because my kids told me about TikTok, how fun it was. So I went on during the pandemic, just to have some fun, something to do, because I was bored sitting at home. And about 2 months, I posted a couple videos here and there, but about 2 months ago, I went off on the New York City Police Department because they arrested a kid for not wearing a mask in Applebee's. And that video just took off. I got 500,000 views on it. In about 2 days, I got 10,000 followers, and it just took off from there. And then I just started getting more followers, more videos, and the more controversial, of course, I got more followers. Got
it. One thing to share, which is interesting, is that, it's funny, 10 years, we went 10 years back, and I mentioned something called TikTok, which wasn't around. The question really comes down to is, like, on the Problem Solver show, like how we're solving problems and bringing this stuff up, is that TikTok is becoming a way of communication to the masses where it's not really costing any major money for people, right? You can go on and express your opinion and do different things. So it's actually an amazing communication tool depending upon what you're doing, whether it's for work or for nonprofit or for helping people or sharing information. So, I mean, it's just interesting time that we are, in this time of, the world that we live in today, So you're getting your messages out and you're talking about controversial topics on TikTok, right? You're sharing your opinion.
Of course, TikTok has suspended me a couple times for some of my topics. My live was suspended for a week, but they do that. Community guidelines, so you do got to watch what you say on TikTok.
So what kind of videos were?
Anything about the virus.
Okay.
If you talk about the virus on TikTok.
So anything that's the truth?
Anything that's truth, and they don't think it's the truth, they'll cut you off. I had a live video going, they cut me off. I was like, I didn't even know I said anything. Next thing I know, I got a message. I was suspended for a week from TikTok. Yeah. Just the virus came up and it just That was it.
So why do you think it is? Like, what's the?
I think they don't
conspiracy?
want false information going out there, so they don't let everybody express their opinion about the virus. My opinion about the virus, and I'll say I'm vaccinated. I'm vaccinated and boosted, but I was against the mask. I was against social distancing. But if somebody wants to wear a mask, somebody wants to get vaccinated, unvaccinated, I'm for everybody. I'm for the rights and freedom of everybody. You don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine. You want to get vaccinated, that's fine. You want to wear a mask, that's fine also. You don't want to wear a mask, that's fine also. It's America. That's how I am.
It's interesting if you think about it. But if you talk about your freedoms, right? Like
Right.
even though like TikTok or Facebook, all these things are, private entities. Like, don't you think it should be freedom of speech? Even if someone wanted to put something out there that wasn't, totally correct. I mean, on TV, is everything totally correct? I mean, there's what do you call the infomercials, right? You know what I mean? All these diet pills or all these different things. I mean, is that 110%? Are they checking every single thing that's out there? Are they vetting it all? Like, so my question is it really freedom of the speech?
No. It's what they think.
It's what they think. So someone behind, somewhere is like, you know what, this doesn't sound right. Let me censor him.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this. You could report somebody on TikTok. So I just did a video to TikTok itself yesterday saying, listen, when you put a video out, 50% of the people are going to like the video. 50% of the people are not going to like the video. So them 50% report me that they don't like the video, and TikTok takes my video down. I mean, what sense does that make? When you run for public office, if you have 52% of the votes, you're winning the election. 48% of the people are going to hate you. So TikTok's got to come up with a better solution for that. They really do.
So they're basically reporting you and documenting you.
If somebody don't like me, they went through all my videos, reported all my videos, every single one of them, because they didn't like me.
Do you get a report? Do you get an email? What do you get?
Yeah, I get an email and they take my video down. And I just appealed my video that was taken down yesterday, and they put it back up. I won my appeal. So you know that's what happens.
Sounds like Supreme Court.
But if you get too many,
Right.
they'll take your TikTok away. I know people at 100,000, 150,000 followers gone the next day, and they'll do that to you.
It seems like most of the people I laugh these days because I was telling my wife that on TikTok we've all become a society now. We have to jump around and do lip sync and dance around, and that's the way that you're getting people to like you and to follow you. I guess it's entertaining and engaging. So the big joke is that you got to just wear something sexy and jump around a little bit and do some
Or
lip
have fun
sync.
with it.
That's not going to work for us. We can't look sexy.
You can jump around.
We can jump around.
Speak for yourselves. No.
Well, for me and Dave, definitely not.
Well, it just seems like a weird time that you have like realtors like lip syncing and like it's just funny like I guess it's kind of fun,
It is
especially
fun.
during the pandemic, when people wouldn't have much to do.
Right.
They're doing these lip syncs or do these different challenges.
Creating content.
Yeah, so I mean, it just definitely an unusual time,
Yeah.
So tell me in regards to so let's talk about the New York City since I was a New York City cop. So I don't follow all this stuff these days, but the person that got arrested, what was the kid that got arrested?
What happened was, New York City, they were the last, them in California, of course, were the last to go with these mandates. And a young kid went in with his parents in the Applebee's. And I don't know if he wasn't wearing a mask, his parents weren't, or all of them weren't wearing a mask. But the cops came in, and of course, where's your mask? Where's this? The little kid, I think he was, I'm going to say 9, 11, crying because he was afraid his parents were going to get arrested. I mean, it's horrible, right? And it just showed to me, like, how far we came. Because I would have never done that as a cop. I would have never, ever done that as a cop. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have cared what the consequences are, Dave. You want to fire me? You fire me. I'm going to fight you with the union because I am not arresting an 11-year-old without a mask. That's it.
I wonder I don't even know, like for when I was a cop in Henderson, there was like Henderson Municipal Code, which was like specific for the city of Henderson. There's Clark County and the state law, right?
Right.
I wonder, did they make up a code like in New York City that was an arrestable offense? I mean, I haven't researched it. It's been so long.
Right.
But I mean, I guess it's not, it definitely can't be like disorderly conduct.
Right.
It had to be like a separate new misdemeanor.
Right.
That person violated to get arrested.
Right.
I mean, could you imagine going to juvenile hall because you didn't wear a mask?
Mask,
Yes,
right.
that's crazy.
So, so that one, how many views did you get on that one?
Oh, that was the one that took off, probably about 500,000. I've went viral probably about 18 or 19 times so far.
All right. So in regards to policing, what are your thoughts these days? And I was on over here at Sticky Pie Studio. There was an Action Junkies 24-hour podcast, and we had this guy come on the show. It was called The Gypsy, and he is just very vocal about defunding the police and being stopped by the police, which I could understand that. What are your thoughts these days about people saying defund the police? What's your take on, you're a cop for 27 years. What's your take on people defunding the police?
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It is total stupidity. I've never heard something more stupid. I'm going to be totally honest with you. Okay, you're talking about maybe, I would say, let's just give an estimate. Cops go on about 5-6 million calls a year, and 2 of them go bad. That's pretty good odds. I'm a poker player. Everything is odds with poker. Everything's with odds. 2%, that's not too bad. That's not too bad to have 2 bad calls out of 8 million.
Someone was on the show like a few weeks ago. They were saying that maybe defunding the police, the verbiage was the wrong words. That more it's about like the police reform. Beja, what's your thoughts on your take in regards to policing? You've been stopped by the police before, or like what's your take on the police these days? You're what we call a civilian. You're a civilian.
Going back to what you said it was a 2% or?
Well, yeah, I'm wrong. It's actually less than that.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at maybe 2 or 3 incidents out of 7
so
million.
Many,
yes.
Right? So it's just the way social media is that they just highlight and they bring awareness to that, and they make it seem like it's back to back to back, and that's what all the police are doing to people that wear masks, or I would say even colored people, all of those situations.
Right.
So
do you think we should have? It was funny the other day.
Now that they should be defunded, I don't.
Do you think we should
agree.
have less police, more police, or what are your thoughts?
At the end of the day, we need you.
Mm-hmm.
We call you for anything and everything that we need in case something goes bad. So defunding, I believe, is the incorrect word to say.
Yes.
Even if you are a gangster, or if you are going through, I mean, whatever it is, when you need to call the police, you're going to call the police. So we need you. We need more of you. Your guys' lives, I would say, when you were serving, your guys' lives were in danger at that time too. There's so many situations that happen.
I think what it comes down to is that these days everyone has a camera. When I left policing, the camera was on the police car, and then I had the audio device like a beeper on me, and then it was changing slowly.
Yes.
Now, I will share with you, no one wants the camera on your body all day long. It's just not fun. Now, the newer officers are more like it's the norm, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they don't think anything of it. But if you never had a camera on you, not that you were a bad cop, but who wants a camera? Imagine for your job all day long, someone was on top of your shoulder, or in Henderson, basically, like it's a button now.
Right.
I mean, who wants a camera on you all day long, whatever job you have? I don't care if you're UPS or you're a lawyer. Like, the bottom line is it's a little bit of a privacy situation. But some people would say, you know what, if you don't want to be filmed all day as a police officer, then don't take the job, right?
Right.
So, but these days it's more like that's the thing. Every cop has a camera, and most of the cops will say, oh, it saved me 100 times because people made false allegations that I touched him, or I did something, or I threw some drugs, and they say, look at the camera.
Right.
So on a whole, I think that with having cameras all throughout the United States, I mean, you can always make an internal affairs complaint if there's any issues about a certain officer, but the bottom line is when you need the police, you're going to call 911.
Right.
Even if you're a bad guy, you're going to call 911.
Right.
You got shot, you're like, I need some help.
You're going to call, yes. It's funny that you say that, because even during COVID, a lot of people working from home even had to be recorded the whole time.
Yes.
So when you say these times, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So question for you. So for locally in Vegas, I know you have some different followers in other states. You've been here how many years now?
6.
Got it. So since you've been here 6 years, have you ever been stopped by the police out here?
4 times.
4 times?
Yes.
And how do you feel the interaction was?
You know what? And this is before they knew I was a retired
They didn't know you were the
cop.
Miracle 35 at the time.
No, and they didn't know I was a cop at the time.
Okay.
And I'm embarrassed to say this, but I'm going to tell you, 3 of the times I was pulled over for texting and driving.
Yeah.
And from that, I've
Shame on you.
learned it's totally wrong, and I was 100% wrong, and I put the phone in the back of my car anymore. I don't text and drive. But they were very nice to me about it, honestly. Each time they pulled me over, and then when I did tell them I was a cop, because of course I'm trying to get out of a ticket, like all of us, and when I did tell them I'm a retired cop, they gave me the speech that I should know better. Mm-hmm. And I took the speech because I should know better. So
most people
the
don't know.
interaction was good.
So did you get the ticket? That's the question.
No.
I will share.
I'm being honest. I'm an honest person. I didn't get the ticket.
I will share with you. I mean, some people may hear this, right? They call it like discretion, for like police officer or retired. The bottom line is sometimes they're harder on you, the police, than when they stop a retired cop, because you should know better compared to the other guy. And sometimes they give you a break. But the truth is this: whether you're a retired police officer, whether you're a good-looking female, whether you're a good-looking guy, or you have a good story, or you have to go to the bathroom, whatever it may be, as long as you're respectful in general, on the most part, you can get a warning like anybody else. And the truth of the matter is, if they give you a ticket, you take the ticket and you fight the ticket, and you try to negotiate the best that you can, even though you know you did something most likely wrong. You negotiate it because you don't want to have your insurance to go up, even though you're wrong, right? We still want to limit our liability, right? You know, for different things. So, I mean, the bottom line is anybody can get out of a ticket. I think that if they're respectful, they're nice. A lot of times they apologize. I always tell people that if they say, why'd you pull you over? So I say, officer, I'm not really sure, but I apologize for whatever I did. Because you don't want to admit any guilt no matter who you are, right? And if you said, I was speeding and the cop didn't pull you over for speeding, then, you know, he may question it more. So I always say, even when I get stopped, I'm sorry, officer, I'm not sure what I did, but I apologize in general. Here's my license, registration, insurance. You don't have to have so much conversation with the officer. You're not on a date.
Right.
So the bottom line is that you give the information, he makes a judgment call to give you a ticket or not, and then you go on your way. And just be careful. So, I mean, I think once you start becoming argumentative, you know, that's when the problem lies. That's what we were telling the gypsy guy that was on the show here.
Or they take your going 90 and a 65 to a 75 and a 65 or something. And reduce the fines for you.
Dave, I just want to mention one thing. If we can get back to defunding the police real quick. The reason crime is going up right now, and honestly, there's a couple reasons. First, because of the defunded police and all that stuff, crime's going up. Because criminals don't respect the police anymore. It's total disrespect. They're like, the politicians are going to take my side, so I'm going to disrespect the police even more. But the number one reason, and people that aren't cops, were never cops, will not realize this, but you will. Cops they're not doing their job anymore. That's the truth. They're hiding, because the less they do, the less trouble they're going to get in. So they avoid situations that they're going to get in trouble for. And that's the truth. Cops are not doing their job now because they're afraid. And that is the truth. Cops aren't going to tell you that, but as a retired cop, I'm going to tell you they're afraid to do their job, because when they do it now, they're going to get in trouble. So the less they do, the less chance of getting in trouble. And that's a fact.
I mean, you worded it pretty much.
Yes, that's a fact.
You know what it comes down to, and I'll share with you. So it's been 7 years since I retired, but I will share with you that a lot of times, as you know, if you're a cop, there's a lot of problems with, believe it or not, more of the administration. And some people that may listen today that I worked with, they could say, oh, maybe he was a bad cop or whatever, right? Or he didn't work hard. I mean, I thought for 17 years I was a cop with 3 different agencies, and I've always cared about the community. I did community policing. I taught the DARE program. I was out there helping the homeless, and I was trying to help more than arrest people, I would say. That was just more my mentality. But I will share, there was 1 or 2 times that I had an issue with the camera and the video didn't go on. I didn't feel it was my fault. It was and there was an issue that came up, and it was actually not even an issue with like a bad guy. It was like another officer from another agency that he said that I was rude, most likely from my New York accent. And I remember basically getting like a little bit of a complaint, that, oh, my camera didn't go on. And so after, 2-3 times, I mean, eventually you can get into like a lot of problems, and you work hard as a police officer. You want to get your pension. You work 20 years normally, So I remember sitting on the road up at Eastern and like Anthem, and I was saying to myself, like, I didn't want to do anything. And, sometimes as cops, like any job that you have, there's ups and downs of any career, right? You're bored, or you need a change, or, you get in a fight with your wife, or something may happen. Like we all have changes, no matter where you work, right?
Right.
But I remember, I was like, it's a horrible job that if you dress up like Superman every day, and you're not going to go out and do the job as Superman every day, then why the hell are you getting dressed up like Superman?
Right.
And that's what basically a cop is in my eyes, is that you're dressing up pretty much to be like a Superman figure, within the community. But I remember it was a horrible time, because I just was upset with more of the administration, not the bad guys, not the community, but of how I was treated with the administration. And I think that happens in a lot of police departments. And some people could say that maybe they want a little bit of like a dog, They want to basically like control you more. But the bottom line is, it's not a fun situation to be controlled by anybody. Right.
Did you feel that way?
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is the politics of police departments. Am I right, Dave?
Yes.
Like there's all kind of politics. They'll start looking what's going to make us look bad, stuff like that. Am I right? That's a big thing. And then you also not only have the brass, who the supervisors were, and I was a supervisor at the end of my career, but you also have the politicians. So you have not only your administration bosses, the politicians think you're their boss too. They think they're your boss. They'll come in and tell you what to do. I don't know if they did that where you are.
Yeah.
But you'll have a council member come in, hey, Dave Kohlmeier, go out and get this guy. He's parked in a no parking zone by my house. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, if there was like a big complaints that were taking, like a lot of it was like parking, right?
Yeah.
There was a complaint, I know, that in Henderson, like the auto mall, that the cars were, they were parking in the red. So we got a call basically that we need to go take care of it. So every day for like several days we went out in order to change the behavior was the whole concept.
Yeah.
Nothing that it was illegal or corrupt. Basically, it was just like an area that we had to address because maybe it was a city councilman or something like that, mentioned it was a problem spot. It's always like that in general, I think, whatever city. Like I said, there's politics wherever you go. I'm sure the same guy at UPS, I would think, maybe he has got problems too, right? Besides the boxes or Amazon, right? You go to Amazon, I'm sure people complaining at Amazon, maybe how they're treated. I think there's a lot of issues even with Amazon in different places of work in general. So it's hard. It's not an easy job. You want to help the community. You want to serve. But it's not an easy situation when you have anybody overlooking you step by step. And once they try to target you sometimes with these different police departments, it's not a fun situation,
Right. Yeah. And I'm the type of guy, I'll say both sides, because a lot of my followers are Trump supporters, I'll be honest with you. But I said things against Trump last week and I lost 500 followers in 5 minutes. But I'm not afraid to say that. And I'll say this about the police. My last couple years there, I felt the training was getting more going towards your gun first. And I'm going to be totally honest about that. Like when me and Dave first started, I'm old. I started in 1988, believe it or not. I mean, that's a long time ago. And there was a lot of hands-on. A guy didn't go with the program. You went hands-on with them. You knocked them down. You tried to handcuff them. You did whatever you can. Now, if a guy says, I'm not going with the program,
you grab it.
They grab their gun. That's one thing I noticed. Instead of fighting a guy, physically fighting him, which me and Dave did. My God, on a weekend, I'd fight 3 times on a weekend at least. Am I right, Dave? When I say fight, it might not be knockdown fights, but you're wrestling somebody, you're putting him in a headlock, you're trying to get him handcuffed. Nowadays, I see them, once the guy says, no, I ain't put my hands on the police car, they pull their gun out. And back then, we didn't do that. We went hands-on. Am I right, Dave?
I mean, the problem with it is that a lot of people, even if you pull your gun out, people don't realize as police officers, most people say, I don't care, shoot me.
Right.
And you can't shoot the guy.
Right.
Because the guy, just because you pull your gun. Then when the guy says, all right, shoot me, and he doesn't have a weapon in his hands, you got to put your gun back away. Because then you got to go hands-on, or now these days, right, there's more non-lethal weapons like a taser or a pepper spray and stuff like that. But on a whole, most people, that suffer from mental illness, they'll say, come shoot me, come kill me. Like they don't really care, especially if they think they're going to go to jail and they've been some, ex-felons.
Right.
Question for Beja, and then we'll be interested then to ask you, Beja. These days, I mean, I feel crime is more rampant these days, like that Danny mentioned. What are your thoughts? How do you feel being a female and a mother, being in Las Vegas? Do you some people don't watch the news. Some people don't even, like myself these days, I don't even have, Cox on TV to watch what's going on. Like I'm watching YouTube or these different apps. How do you feel? Do you watch the news, or do you feel unsafe for whatever reason? Because definitely things are more going on than ever before in Vegas.
I have to keep it very limited because it does a lot to me, honestly. I moved here September of 2017, and the massive shooting happened October of 2017. And I watched it for a day. To the third day, I just can't keep watching it. It just does something to me. Nowadays, when you say, even police officers that are trained to not even just physically try to hold somebody down, but just grab their gun. I mean, I've lost so many friends because of violence, and just them pulling out guns. Like you say, back in the day. Well, back in the day, people used to just fight.
Yes.
And then they would shake hands, and then they would get over it.
Yes.
And they didn't care about name calling. If anything, it was more like a, you just had to have tough skin, And nowadays, people have their hands on guns and they don't even care to fight, I guess, or just solve it. I don't know, however, solving it by fighting or whatever. But they pull out guns, they pull out knives, and they're just aiming to kill, really.
Yes.
So how do I feel as a mother? I'm fearful of my child. All these kids bringing guns to schools, shooting up schools. I'm always praying over my daughter before I drop her off. For me, again, I'm not a police officer, but
I know what you mean.
I grew up in the hood or whatever, so I have friends. I've just lost so many for, I don't know, it's just senseless acts of violence, and it's scary.
So one of the things, and what are your thoughts now, in these different states, they're doing all this bail reform where that if you get arrested, like they're just releasing people. What's your thoughts process on, it seems like it's happening in every state. What's your thoughts with this bail reform?
Well, I'm good. I always see both sides. I really do. So I understand that, bail is really easy for the rich. Okay, let's admit it. I mean, if they make your bail $50,000 and you have $500,000 in the bank, you don't really care. But if they make your bail $50,000 and you have $1,000 in the bank, is that really fair to you? So I understand the bail reform because it does help rich people. Bail is for rich people. Poor people cannot get out of jail because they don't have $50,000, whatever the bail is. But I think for violent crimes, we should never reduce that bail. So for rape, robbery, murder, that bail should not be reduced. Non-violent crimes, no problem. Theft, stuff like that where nobody was injured, of course, bail reform. But for violent crimes, no way. No way should a murderer get out. There's no way.
But you know what's interesting, though? This is kind of
What's
interesting.
the statistic on somebody, being jailed for a violent crime and then coming out and then doing it again? Like,
it's high.
it's high.
Yeah.
So why? Exactly. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting? We talk about violent crime.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, for Vegas at least, and I'm sure this happens in other cities, but Vegas right now, it's all DUI.
Right.
And people are dying, right? So even not that I'm following it, the Raiders guy,
Yeah.
the person got killed, right?
Right.
So I don't know.
Raiders had 2 guys drunk driving this year.
So the question really is, it's not even just the high level, it's the misdemeanor DUI.
Right.
Because that's the highest way of dying in this town right now is
Right.
the DUI death.
Right.
My question to you is, what about the lower level? Because DUI, basically it's DUI, reckless driving, and stuff like that. So they're lower level crimes and offenses, but these people normally get out or they'll get released.
Right.
So even though we talk about violent crimes that they should, I totally agree with you. What are your thoughts about these lower levels?
That's a great question.
That is a good question. And I'll tell you what, with the DUI,
Because the guy killed, what was it, like 8 people, the whole family?
I saw that, yeah. And then that the Raider killed an innocent girl, right?
I wonder what the bail was for that.
I don't know. He was in for a long time, but until he got bailed out. But here's my thing on DUI. DUI nowadays, if you do it, you're crazy. There's Uber, there's Lyft, there's everything. So you're going to risk people's lives for a $10 Uber or a $20 Uber. We all have $10, $20 that we could do. Saves a life. I think we should increase the sentencing for DUI, honestly, because nowadays there's no reason to drive drunk, especially if you're a Raider. You have millions of dollars. You could pay somebody to drive you. It's ridiculous. The DUI laws should be even stricter. That's my feeling.
So I just looked up. It says a judge set bail at $150,000 for former Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs.
Okay.
For 30s. He faces a charge of driving under the influence, resulting in death after a car crash. But $150,000 for that guy, right? I mean, how much money does he make? It's like
Millions.
Millions.
Yeah.
So in some regards, I think it should kind of go by the income of the person.
See, that's a good
Shouldn't it?
idea. Yes.
So it should go by, because $150,000 is like a guy who has a DUI,
Yes.
where it's like a $3,000 bail.
Right.
And the guy's got to come up with $1,000. Coming up with $150,000 is probably like $1,000 to that guy.
Right.
So I think it should probably be based. It's funny, now that I'm thinking about it, you go based by your tax return. It should be like a percentage of your tax return,
Yeah.
like 20%, 30%.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of the bail bondsmen, because that's where they make money on it, that's where they're losing money. But the truth of the matter is, forget about the bail bond industry in regards to that. The bottom line is, this guy gets out $150,000, no big deal. Or if you know, the state law is 15%. So if you come up with $23,000, you can be, and you have a house or you have some other people for 23. He's really getting out for $23,000.
Right.
Because $150,000, 15% is what a bail bondsman can charge.
Yes.
And I believe at $200,000 to $300,000, sometimes the bond itself, they don't allow them.
Right.
If it's more than $300,000, unless you have a house and equity.
Right.
But technically, it's, if you think about it that way, what's $23,000?
Right.
So just double check. 150, I think I'm right with the number, times 15% is $22,500.
Right.
So he paid $22,000, he got out, and meanwhile someone's dead
Right. And he probably makes that in a day.
in a day.
Yeah. He probably makes that for going to practice.
Yeah.
So definitely bail reform, and it will be
Or
interesting.
case by case, I guess.
It's going to be interesting. Maybe I should have you come back on the show in the future when I have. I haven't really been following it up, but the new sheriff in town. Actually, we're just picking up the kids, and the guy that's running for sheriff. Are you following it at all a little bit?
Not that. I'm following the governor's race. I know
governor's?
the old, Lombardo's running for governor.
So, let me just check a look real quickly here. Let's see. But he was the one of the guys. I found his name already. Let's see here. Running. I want to bring him on the show to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
But he was there, and I was quickly coming over here to the show. But it's Kevin McMahill. I can't even say it.
Okay.
McMahill for sheriff that he's running. It'd be interesting to ask him what his thoughts are on that in regards to that, because he's running in general. So
Bail bonds. Yeah.
because I mean, it'd be interesting just to have these questions with someone like him who's trying to run for sheriff. These are serious questions in
Right.
general. But he was there, and I actually want to bring him on the show to see what he has to say. Okay, so the bottom line is you're against the whole bail reform. Things need to change.
Yes.
It's not about the money for the bail bondsman. It's about preventing crime, preventing death, right?
Yes.
Got it. Defunding the police, we talked about that. In regards to that, we just think that some changes need to take place.
Definitely. Definitely. Things need, listen, if the public think there's a problem, there's a problem. Mm-hmm. That's what I always said. And me and you were sort of like the same. I was our DARE officer. I did our news media. So when we had a crime, I went out there, talked to the news media and stuff. But I always saw if the public thinks there's a problem, there's a problem. So we should try to fix it. You know, that's for sure. And just like I said, my last couple of years, I noticed that they're training us to go to our guns instead of getting physically involved. You know what I mean?
Okay. So in regards to the world, like, a lot of stuff going on in the world right now with Ukraine and so on, what's your take on, okay, so I guess let's talk about Ukraine a little bit. Like, I'm not a major, I'm not a major person into politics and so on, and you get involved in a lot more of it. What's your take with going on with Ukraine and how it's affecting America?
This is the problem with it, okay? So you're going to be shocked. But like I said, by
the way, Beja's an expert in politics. No, I'm joking. And I'm
not an expert either. I have my opinions, but I'm not an expert either.
And the problem is there's three sides of the story. We don't really know what's going on, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories too.
Yes.
Go ahead. Tell me what your thoughts are.
This is the problem here. Like I said, a lot of my followers are Trump followers. This is where I got in trouble with the Trump followers because I didn't go with what they're saying, okay? And I called them out on it. There's so many, we've been lied to by the media so much that nobody believes anything. And they start making stuff up for themselves because they don't believe the media. So when this war started, of course, I'm supporting Ukraine 1,000%. And my Trump followers are saying that there's biolabs in Ukraine and Putin is saving the world. And I said, you're crazy. That's not happening. And the minute I said that, I lost 500 followers in minutes.
I never heard that.
Now, it's all over my TikTok. Okay, that Putin's saving the world because there's biolabs in Ukraine. And I said, that's insane. That's craziness.
But the truth is, we really don't know what the hell's going on there, right?
Exactly.
Now, what's your take? Because I don't even know the whole story, but people were saying there's neo-Nazism going on near more of the border of Russia and Ukraine. And I said, well, the president, I'm not sure if you know, is Jewish.
Right.
And I think the prime minister is Jewish. So how is that possible? And then someone went back to me who's Russian and says, absolutely, that's the crazy thing about it, And then someone mentioned that there's like SWAT stickers on some of the Ukrainian soldiers. I have no clue. I'm not there. I mean, I'm watching CNN like the next guy or YouTube videos, NBC. And which is kind of interesting to see this stuff take place on TV because, World War I and II, right? The social media wasn't like that. Like, you got these news reporters walking the streets of Ukraine,
right?
And I think 3 of them died so far that were news reporters,
yes.
American and I think Ukrainian. So I guess the question really comes up, we have no clue. Did you hear about the whole neo-Nazism?
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
What's your take on that?
What it is, and this is what I'm gonna definitely lose followers over this. But
everyone stay as followers. Please stay.
This is what I see, okay? I was the Trump followers, and listen, I'm a Republican. I voted for Trump 4 times. I'll tell you straight out I did. 4 times. And if he runs again, I'll probably vote for him again because I don't like the way the country's going right now with the gas prices and everything. But what happens is the Trump followers say, don't listen to the media. You're listening to the media. You're listening to the media. And I said to them, you're listening to a dictator. The dictator over in Russia, Putin, is telling you there's neo-Nazis and we're saving them and there's biolabs. So instead of listening to our media, you're listening to a dictator. The dictator wants to do this because he's trying to justify what he is doing. Okay, I don't believe that at all. I truly 100% support the Ukrainian president and the people. And I think we should be doing more. I don't think we're doing enough.
So what do you think we should be doing?
I think you don't want to know because you're going to really not like me. I think we should do what we have to do. I think if we have to get involved, we have to get involved.
So, of course, what they're saying is that if we get involved, it creates World War III. Now you're fighting Russia. Russia aligns with China. Again, I'm not into like the whole politics. I watch the news every night. My wife makes fun of me like, why are you watching the news? I'm like, I want to see what the hell's going on in this world here. And it's kind of a crazy time. So, I mean, it seems that way. And now they're talking about using
chemical weapons
in general. So that kind of concerns me. Now, I will say this, that I'm Jewish, and there's about 200,000 Jewish people that are Ukrainians, and there's different Chabads and temples that are out there. So it actually concerns me. And I'll be honest with you, I never really followed it until now. You know, I'm like, I didn't even know that this prime minister, you know, everyone says that he was a comedian and he was an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was Jewish. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, you're busy doing your own life, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to solve problems in Vegas, in the United States. I didn't get to Ukraine yet. It didn't go to the Ukraine. We didn't open up the Ukraine chapter yet. So I guess the question really comes down to is you think we should do more. So tell me what you really think. Tell me what should we be doing?
Okay, here's the thing. Putin's sitting there and he's saying, if you do this, I'm going to nuke you. If you do this, I'm going to nuke you. I'm going to nuke you. And we're saying, oh, we can't have that. Okay, so when he leaves there and he goes into Poland, what are we going to do? He's going to say, don't do nothing. I'm going to nuke you. Then he takes over Poland and he goes here. You have to. Here it is. When you deal with a bully, we've all dealt with bullies our whole life, right? You got the bully. I've dealt with bullies at work. I've dealt with bullies at school. If you don't slap the bully in the face, he's going to continue to bully you. You have to stand up to him. Nobody's standing up to this guy, and I don't know why, because his military looks horrible. He is fighting a country the size of Texas and can't win and is losing. So why are we scared of this guy? We shouldn't be. We should say, let's go get him.
Beja, your thoughts?
The only thing that I'm going to say, because I don't want to get all into politics and stuff too, a dictator knows who they can push around. The last time Putin attacked was when Obama was in office.
Yes.
Then moving forward, and then now who we have.
Yes.
That's all.
They sense weakness.
Thank you.
Dave, let me ask you a question. I know you're the guy who's supposed to ask questions. If Trump was in office right now, would this be happening? I say no way. No way.
I ask people all the time, and I would say no. And I think that Trump was, I think he was befriending because when he said, I think that he's like a strong leader, doesn't mean that he's a good leader.
Right.
He's a strong leader for whatever his purpose may be. But I think that he was trying to appease the guy and befriend him and talk, talk positively about the guy, even though it's not the best situation.
Right.
Now, even though it's a messed up situation, right? Biden's saying, he's basically saying like, oh, he's a war criminal. And so like none of that's good. It's not going to go anywhere. So the relationship is done with Russia,
right?
At least with this particular guy. And I don't think he's leaving office unless they wind up killing him.
Right.
I guess I feel no. I mean, I don't think that would be a war. The question really is why. I guess the question is what would Trump do differently, right? If you're doing all these bans, maybe he would have done it earlier. I don't know. It'd be interesting in the mindset of Putin what he thought differently of why Biden just wouldn't do it. Because now they're doing all these sanctions. They're all doing all these things. The question really comes down to what would have Trump did differently. That's the question I got.
Okay,
for you.
yeah.
What do you think Trump would have done?
Do you have
Paige,
something?
Do you want to jump in?
I thought you had something. No.
Bully.
Yes.
And they sense weakness.
Yes. And this.
So do I believe that this would be happening? No, but I mean that's just my opinion.
Right. And I'm going to go back to poker because I'm a gambler. In poker, if I know how Dave Kohlmeier's playing, but I don't know how you're playing, I'm easier to pick on Dave Kohlmeier than I am you because I have no idea what you're going to do. They know the Democrats are weak. They show weakness. They've always showed weakness. I mean, let's admit it. They support the criminals. I mean, I don't care to say that. I'm going to say it. Okay? So that is their voters. Okay? So you don't think these other governments know they're weak? They know they're weak, so they can pick on the weak guy. In poker, if I know you're a weak player, I'm going to pick on you. But if I don't know how she plays, I'm not going to pick on her because I don't know how she plays. They know how the Democrats play. That's why there's wars every time the Democrats are in. Every time.
What's interesting, again, following it a little bit to the I think right now they were saying that there's a lot more soldiers in Russia that are getting killed and they're backing up from that one suburb city or something like that.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is I feel behind the scenes that America now is like sending, anti-type of weaponry to prevent. I mean, it's horrible just looking at the pictures. I mean, they're just destroying it. It's kind of they want to destroy all of Ukraine and just like a clean slate, let everyone move out,
right.
And they just rebuild and it's Russia. But I just feel that they're giving more military equipment to stop it from going further. And again, it's funny when you watch news, you're not really watching like Russian shoulder. You don't see the shooting.
Right.
Like you just see the bombing, right? But you don't see soldiers going back and forth.
Right.
They say 10 to 15,000 Russian soldiers have died. They don't show that on TV, so they are censoring what you see,
right.
like with this blood or bleeding, right?
Yeah.
The war. It kind of would be interesting to see because I keep waiting to see, is there combat fighting one-on-one? But you never see that. You only see the explosions of the missiles
right.
of the territory, or you see the people that are victims leaving, but you're not really seeing like major bloodshed. And it's, I guess, I don't know why that hasn't come out. I haven't really Googled and YouTube and stuff like that to see that.
Right.
But it seems like that they're supplying things now where maybe if Trump was there, maybe he would have supplied it earlier. Another question is maybe with Trump's support with this whole situation with Poland, giving them having Poland give them the aircraft to basically prevent, and then America giving, like, there's a whole situation with that.
Right.
But you mentioned about Poland. Poland's part of NATO. So the question really comes down to is, it seems like everyone's prepping for a war that if they go into Poland, they did that explosion, like, 15 miles from Poland, that once they go into that, NATO will basically then fight Russia.
Yeah.
All the NATO alliance.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not an expert. I've been following it every day. That's what I've been learning in regards to, but it seems that we are preparing, that we're sending.
Yes.
And even in Vegas, I saw, I'm not sure the whole situation, but there was like hundreds of tanks.
I saw it.
That were crossing. I'm sure they're going somewhere, right?
Yes.
I mean, to basically prepare us, because you don't see that every single day, right?
Right.
So I just think that we are preparing for another war. I think that we're on a higher level, especially with everything going on. And it looks like that we're helping in different ways while people are also leaving. That's my take. But I guess my question is, what do you think more would be done if Trump was in office today? Or if we go back up a few weeks, Trump's there. You don't think anything would happen, period.
But if
it did happen, what do you think Trump would do?
I think if Putin said, hey, if you guys get involved in this, I'm not rolling out nuclear weapons, Trump would have said, we have them too, and we're not rolling them out either. That's what he should have said. Instead, Joe Biden said, oh my God, we can't say nothing to Putin. He's going to nuke us. Trump would have said, oh yeah, that's good, because I'm going to nuke you too. And I heard Trump on a podcast say that he told him before that if you do anything like this, I'll nuke you. He told him that.
And then I think
he threw it right back to him.
Are you serious or something?
Yeah, I heard the whole thing. Yeah, he threatened him right back. And if you don't threaten him back, the bully's going to bull you over.
The sad part about it is that the whole nuking situation, there's so many people that are Russians that are not involved in this. It's more of a politic thing from this particular guy.
Yeah.
But like, how many people, like, if you just nuke a whole country, like all these civilians.
I feel bad for the Russian people.
Yeah.
They don't want this. They're victims too.
So how do you feel that we're affected here, especially in Vegas? I'm not sure how the other states are. What do you see taking place in Vegas besides gas? What's your take on what's going on here because of the war?
I don't know if it's because of the war, but I was telling you guys before we got on air, I went to Walgreens just to get water because I exercise every day. I stopped by there to get water. I thought, I'm going to get like a little microwave pizza or something. Shelves were empty. I couldn't get anything at Walgreens. I mean, the shelves are empty. I mean, I've never seen America like this. I've been alive in this planet 53 years. Never seen it like this. Never.
And you think it's because of the whole inflation, now there we're war. It's just crazy how we went from COVID to war. Like, everyone forgot about, like,
people
COVID.
People are stocking up still.
Yes. That's what I think you're right, too. I think people are stocking.
But are people stocking up because they think that we're going to go to war?
Yes.
So before, people were stocking up because of COVID.
Yes.
Right.
Now we're stocking up because we're going to go to war.
I think we are going to go to war. I think soon it's just a matter of time.
It's just crazy how it came out of, like, nowhere, It's like,
That's
especially
scary.
the weirdest time.
I know.
All right, so anything else in regards to what you thought? So in regards to gas, I never really like thought of gas. Now you're driving. Like, actually, today was the first time I saw a guy with he's like on the lower level and there's a digital billboard,
right,
and he's pressing the buttons with the gas. I've never seen this before. So I see like 512 and he's like pressing a button and it says like 519 or 549.
Right.
Like they're pressing the button like to go up.
Oh, okay.
To let people know from the billboard sign how much gas costs at this local place. And I never seen that before, which is weird. I mean, I guess maybe I never never noticed it, right? Like a guy doing that.
I've never seen it.
I like the little stickers where it says Joe Biden did this, on the gas thing. I guess my question is that at what point do people, like, even in my mindset, I was like, if I drive to California and I have a Chevy Suburban because I got the 3 kids, at what point in time will I not drive because it's like, wow, it's really expensive. And I kind of feel it at the pump more, where if I filled up the Chevy Suburban with regular gas, I think it was normally about $100. And I think the other day it was like $146.
I've seen more people pushing their cars to get to the gas station to pump these days.
It's funny you say that. I did notice a few times. I didn't think of it. I didn't correlate it to the situation. I have seen a few people. I didn't think about it at the time. But yeah, I have seen a few people recently.
This is causing more crime here in the valley too. Did you know that? They're actually poking holes in gas tanks and stealing the gas.
Yes.
I'd rather them siphon and not ruin my gas tank. So if you want gas, just siphon it. Don't ruin my gas tank.
They actually were doing that during COVID as well.
Yes.
And then even just
and
people walking out of the grocery stores stealing their stuff.
Catalytic converters too on your vehicle they're stealing too. They can cut them off your car in like 5 minutes and get $1,000 for them.
Wow. What is it called? Let me write that down.
Catalytic converter.
Write that down.
They are. They're stealing them all over town.
So what's your thoughts in regards to, all right, so they're still in gas. We know about the catalytic converters. We actually work with Universal Motor Cars, and they actually work on TV. Victor, who's the owner there, going over how ways of preventing. So if someone really wants to, there's different locks and mechanisms, even the gas mechanisms to prevent gas, and the bottom there's different like trays and mechanisms these days that you get at your car, which that costs money to do. Who's got extra money to start preventing catalytic converters being stolen and gas? But there are ways of doing it.
You said you have someone?
Yeah, the problem is it costs money to do it. It's not a cheap thing. I mean, like $600 to probably get like some type of cage, right, to like block the catalytic converter. Now you got to block the gas. Eventually, they'll be taking out the engine. So you might as well just. Yeah, actually, I'm glad you said it. I think that these days you have to call your insurance company and change the deductible on vandalism. I'm not sure if you know this, but I have I use Allstate, but I have my deductible at $0 for vandalism, which is a very good question of whether or not that's covered.
I don't know. I have to check now.
So if there's theft for the catalytic converter, I need to call the insurance company. But I think everyone really should be calling their insurance, checking on the insurance policies, maybe lowering their deductible if something happens. But then again, there's a lot of people that when they get into insurance claims, like, I don't want to make a claim because my insurance is going to go up. So why the hell have insurance?
Right.
But I think these days we need to reevaluate our deductibles if something happens. Accident's one thing, but again, this vandalism specifically, the deductible can be different, and it's not that much more money to do that.
Right.
So I have $0 deductible. So if something hits my car and there's vandalism in general or keyed or whatever, that would help the situation, which I think is important. So in regards to crime, what else is crime in your eyes? What are the things you think are going to be affected? And I guess the question is this: as gas goes up, do you think we're going to hit $7? What are we at now?
I do. I hate to say that. I got gas the other day. It was $5.45. I don't know what it was today.
What do you think? Is
and I have a 4-cylinder, and I'm putting $50 in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? My 4-cylinder used to be $25.
So I'm looking up here. It says for gas, it says current average is $5.27. Yesterday was $5.24. A week ago was $5.07. A month ago was $3.96.
Jeez.
So the question really comes down to is at what point in time. That's why I'm just looking. It says Nevada normally is among the most expensive states for gas, spike or not, because of its reliance on neighboring states to supply fuel to the Silver State. Las Vegas gasoline largely comes by a pipeline from California. I actually went to Costco, and it was funny because I pulled up to Costco, and normally when you get gas, like there's one here, like Martin Luther King and Charleston area.
Yeah.
I pull up, and it seemed really, really quiet. And all of a sudden, I see a guy there, and it says gas, and then he points this way.
Right.
Where you have to go totally the other way around. There was cars around the entire building waiting. And it was funny, not that I really wanted to wait there, but I was like, this is kind of an unusual time in history. People always say they had to wait for gas back in the day, 1970 or whatever it is. So I was like, let me just wait in this line just so I could tell the story how I waited online for gas during this war for Ukraine. So I waited online. I think I measured, it was about like 50 minutes by the time I was online and I got to the pump and then I gassed. And I forgot how much I saved, but maybe I saved $25, like it's $1 cheaper, I think, at Costco.
How long did you wait?
It was about 50 minutes. Meanwhile, it did cost me gas, right, for 15 minutes, right, driving.
Right.
But it'd be interesting. People I don't know if people really shutting off the car and off.
Yeah.
So my question is this: what do you think? I want the Miracle 35 to come up with a prediction. Since you're a poker player, how much will gas be? Today we're going to look at this. It's March 24th. What do you think gas will be a month from now?
I think it always kind of goes up in the summer, right?
So average is $5.27. I think I've seen $5.45 out there.
I'm gonna say $7.
So $7 a gallon in the summer.
That's what I'm thinking.
$7. We'll go over $7?
I hope not. In California, it's probably over $7 already, right?
So
New York.
$7 a gallon.
Even New York, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. So at what point in time will people just like just won't drive? They'll just stay home?
Soon. And the problem with Vegas is we don't have a subway system here. So you're stuck. You're either taking the bus or that's it, because there's no subways in Vegas.
The problem with the bus is it takes you like 2 hours to get somewhere if you take a bus. I've never taken the bus here, but
I never did either.
It's got to be 2 hours.
Yeah. People, I don't know if you noticed, I'm seeing people on electric bikes. I'm seeing people on electric scooters. I think people are going to be doing that.
I keep hearing that people are regretting not buying electric cars.
Yes.
Now, what's the story with electric cars? The other day I saw something in Bakersfield where they would come back from Vegas. There was a line for electricity for the Teslas.
Right.
And I don't know how long the line was for, but I don't understand that because there was not enough. What's your take on that? Did you know about that?
No, I had no idea.
Tesla line, California, waiting for electric. Let's see what comes up here. I don't understand that because they weren't taking gas anywhere, right?
Right.
So it says here, it says video shows a huge line of electric vehicles. May not take, video shows huge line. I don't know why. What do you think it is? I mean,
I don't know. Guess a lot of people have electric cars now. That's what it is.
They're showing some videos here.
They're expensive though. You know, and
it says long line of Teslas waiting for a turn that stood out to her. I don't know. I mean, I guess if gas is so expensive, you're not putting gas in the Tesla, right? So you're waiting unless there's not enough electric pumps.
Right.
I would imagine that would come with the car and you could do it in your garage or something.
Yeah.
But the problem is if you're coming back, I mean, I think that they need more stations.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
All over.
I'm just looking at a quick video here, basically just showing that everyone's lined up. The worst part about it is when you do the electric cars.
Do you think that would just solve everything with the whole gas? Oil?
Yeah.
That would solve a lot of problems.
If we all went to electric car, the problem is we can't afford them.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you're talking $60,000, $70,000.
They don't make it affordable.
Cars. Right. And Dave, I don't know if you saw my video the other day. You know, when me and Dave grew up, because I know you're a lot younger than us, $60,000 a year job was a great job.
Right.
People went to college to get a $60,000 a year job. I did a thing of prices on TikTok where $60,000 at the end of the month, you have $450 left to your name. So you go to college, you get this great college degree, you make $60,000 a year, and you can't survive. You have $450. If your car breaks down, you're homeless. You can't pay your rent. So $60,000 a year job now is poverty.
It's like $100 is like worth a penny these days.
And that's a shame because, you know, when we grew up, if you made $60,000, you were living the high life. You're living a beautiful home, everything. Now $60,000, nothing. It's nothing.
You know, the problem is also with state tax and city tax, especially in New York City. I remember when I was a cop, I started out, I mean, it was 1998, so it was 10 years later, which we talked about this before. 10 years ago when I started, I was making $29,000 for the year. After state tax and city tax and pension payments, I think I was, as a New York City cop, making like $400 a week take home.
Right.
So I was making $1,600 a month. Sometimes I look at my check, I don't really understand like what's going on. Like so much payments that were coming out.
Right.
And then I'm like walking around, you know, getting shot at and running back, you know, like, I mean, it was just a crazy situation when I was 22. And of course, right, you want to wait, like most cops, right, after a few years, you know, they get higher pay. But you start looking at your paycheck, I mean, you have to work the overtime just to basically have a decent check, right? The only time you had a decent check is when you worked overtime, you know? So
I started out at $8 an hour as a cop in 1988.
Wow.
$8 an hour.
Wow.
And most people don't know that most cops in general that don't make a lot of money in general,
right,
in Vegas and Henderson, in this particular state, they actually get paid well.
Yes.
But in New York City, you know, it's like the first 5-6 years, you're making a very low amount of money and you really can't afford to live in general. And that's the reason why you can't get enough police officers these days to take the job.
Right.
You know, so I mean,
that's what ours was too, Dave. It took 5 years to get up to base salary. So there was a 5-year progression to get up to your base salary. So a lot of cops had to get roommates and everything else because they couldn't afford it.
All right. So we talked about the food, the gas, Ukraine, defunding the police. What else? Let me ask you a question. So what else are we missing here that you like talk about a lot on TikTok in general? What other issues are there that, I think it covers a lot of those topics, but what other topics are we missing that you're like passionate about?
I'll tell you one thing I'm passionate about that we didn't bring up when we talked about crime is the retail theft in California.
Okay, good one. That's a good one.
I mean, I see people go in stores and steal everything and just walk out. They're now so brazen that they just walk in with bags, load the bags up, and leave. And I'm going to tell you something. I seen it here in Las Vegas. I went into, again, I'm in Walgreens for some reason. I walk in Walgreens. A guy walked in Walgreens with a bag, stole stuff, and walked out. No one stopped him.
Isn't it the law that they can't stop you? Like they can't.
In California, it is.
They don't have to chase after you.
But it's not the law. It's a civil policy that the stores have, like because they're worried about a lawsuit.
Yes.
You know, in regards to someone getting injured.
Yes, I watched it here in Walgreens. The guy just walked right out, and the lady said, "It's not even worth stopping, and we'll just get in trouble." That's what the lady told me. So basically, you can go in there and shoplift. Now, here's the thing. In California, they lowered $1,000, whatever it is, $1,000
$600
is like a misdemeanor or something like that. So people could go in there and steal $1,000 worth of stuff, and they just walk out, and it's misdemeanor. You get a slap on the wrist, and it's done. When I worked in Pennsylvania, if you stole more than $300, it was a felony. Mm-hmm. So if you went in there and stole a bottle of water or something,
that's just petty.
Yeah, it's petty. It was actually a summary offense. You got a ticket. Mm-hmm. Okay, if it was over $300, I believe it was a misdemeanor. Over $1,000 went to a felony. That's what I think it was. I don't know how it was in New York.
So, yeah, you know, you'll laugh when I say this, but I feel like we should try that. Like, you should go into the store and see what they do.
Oh my
And then just like have it on camera to show like what's going on in our society and they're probably just trying to get the license plate or something. But I like to just take a few items and just like walk out and just see what they do.
Right.
Because they can't tackle you, right? And the problem is most people know this these days. So it's just a sacrifice of property, you know? It's pennies on the dollar in the eyes of the corporate companies.
Yes.
Yep. And then even people working at the registers, anybody that tries to come in and rob them, they're like, this doesn't pay me enough. It's not worth my life.
Right.
Take everything.
I understand that, though. I do understand that. I think that is the best policy. If somebody comes in with a gun, I think,
Yeah, take
but
it.
The retail theft, I mean, how are these stores going to survive? They're not. They're moving out of California. They're moving out of California because no one wants to have a business there. I don't get it. Governor Newsom's the worst governor I've ever seen in my life, and I'll say it. I don't care what people say. He's the worst.
They're locking up toothpaste now.
Yes.
Now everything's in a box, right?
Yes.
You can't like a security box in general.
Toothpaste.
Dave, when they were saying defund the police, the politicians, I sense like a Bugs Bunny commercial where the criminals are in the back. Yeah, defund the police. This is great. This is great. Defund the police. It's ridiculous.
So what you do in regards to crime prevention? I'm just curious. So people that live in a home or apartment, condo, wherever they are, give me some of your ideas of crime prevention tips for people because things are changing. What's your thoughts with carrying a firearm, a taser, a pepper spray? Give us your crime prevention outlook. I got my own thoughts, but I want to hear what you have to say. For the people in Las Vegas, anyone in the United States, what are ways of preventing theft or for you being a victim of a crime, specifically in your home?
Okay, I taught crime prevention, okay? And I also taught active shooter prevention too, what to do if you were involved, you were a victim of an active shooter that came into a building.
That's great.
But with crime prevention, it's trusting your instincts. We all have that feeling, that little thing inside us that tells us something's not right. If you get that feeling that something's not right, it's not right. They did a study on your instincts. 90% of the time, if your instincts tell you something's wrong, it's wrong. Only 10% of the time you're wrong. Okay? Your instincts are right 90% of the time. And again, I'm going to go back to poker. I'm playing them cards every time if my odds are 90% that I'm right. So my thing is, Dave, when you walk somewhere, and me and you do it, I'm a little uncomfortable being away from the door. I usually face the door wherever I go. Does it give me a couple seconds? Them couple seconds might save my life. You got to be aware of your surroundings. I'm not saying be paranoid, but you got to be aware of your surroundings. When I leave here tonight, it might be a little dark when I'm leaving. I'm going to search and look in the parking lot before I walk to my car. You want to be aware of your surroundings. Look in the parking lot. You also want to hide stuff that's in your car. If they don't see it, they're not going to break into your car and search for it because they're smash and grabs. So if they see your cell phone, they see your charger, they're going to smash and grab it. If they don't see anything, they're not going to break into your car. They're going to go to the next car where they see something. So when we all hide something underneath the seat of our car, it works. Mm-hmm. Hide the stuff out of sight, out of mind. That's the biggest crime prevention I could tell you. Out of sight, out of mind. And do you have, I know he was telling us on time. Do you have one quick second for a story?
Time.
Okay. I was doing a surveillance. We were having a bunch of thefts in a parking lot. They put me in a surveillance van to watch the parking lot. I thought, I'll never catch this guy. Do you know, I saw a guy ride in with a bicycle, and I watched him. He looked at every car until he found the car. I watched him. I videotaped him. Till he found the car with an item in it. It was a cell phone. That was the car he broke in. He broke into that car in 3 minutes. I caught him because I surveillanced him. We had a team take him down.
Smash and grab.
Smash and grab. He looked in about 7 cars before he chose that car. So out of sight, out of mind. And if you want to go to talk about gun control
it's okay.
I think I'm 100% that people should be able to carry weapons. I am a big, Second Amendment, big Second Amendment. And I'm not a gun guy. I don't go shoot all the time. I own 2 guns. That's it. But I believe people should be able to protect themselves.
Agreed.
What about other stuff for home prevention wise? Like the other day, if you saw somebody kicked in a door, and they stole a dog. So that may be a little bit of a unusual situation. Maybe there's some retaliation or revenge.
Right. But
they kicked in the door to steal someone's dog.
Right.
But I guess my question in regards to preventing burglaries, what's your take on the homes?
Well, you know what? My girlfriend actually, before she moved in with me, she used to have this thing that actually went up to the door. So after you locked it, it jammed into the door and it stuck on the floor. So if somebody tried to kick your door in, you couldn't get it in. So she actually has 2 of them. We can have them both on our both doors. I'm not saying Henderson. I live in Henderson. It's safe. We live in a safe area.
You find this at the store?
I don't know where she bought it, to be honest with you. She
Sounds
had
like
that
she
before she
made it or
moved in with me. But I think people are starting to look at that. And, we have a garage that goes into our house, too. So I worry about that door, too, that, because you can go in my garage and go right up. And, Dave, people could get programs for your garage and get into your garage. So that's always a concern of mine.
I'll ramble off real quickly since we're talking a little bit of crime prevention, and I used to do these neighborhood watch programs. But to real quickly, a few things. The first thing is for anyone that has a home, condo, apartment, house, doesn't matter whatever it is. The first thing is the strike plate on your door needs to have 3-inch screws, longer screws in the actual, like the door jamb. You need it in the strike plate. Normally the strike plate that's in a normal door is very, very small screws. You need longer screws. You just need to change the screws to 3-inch screws. One of the things I'm actually doing, if you go to the problemsolver.vegas, I'm actually giving out 10 3-inch screws to people that you put in your name information, problemsolver.vegas. It says free screws because it's such a cheap thing that I'm just going to provide it to people that are, really want to do it. Right. And the bottom line is you change other screws. So it should be like at any major door, specifically even in the garage, going from the garage to the home. Right. Someone tries to kick in the door, it actually prevents that from happening. The other thing is lighting. You want to well lit the house right around the whole place. You want to make sure that it looks livable. Sometimes as you leave, you want to leave your TV on, the radio on, right? People may listen. The other thing is
boots at the front of the door also lets people know that there's a man in the house.
That's
or
true.
Something.
Maybe shoes or something. That's a good one. I never heard that one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I mean, you don't want newspapers stacking up with like you look like you're on vacation. You want the lighting on to look like someone's living in the home. Mm-hmm. Lights on, maybe coming off sporadically these days, right? With technology, you could do all kinds of different things. But just leaving the light on is key. The biggest thing is actually I recommend. It does cost a little bit of money, but security laminate film is like tint. And that goes on windows in order to prevent someone from breaking it in. Criminals do not want to spend a lot of time, breaking a window and making noise. So what they do is they go through the rear side gate, which normally should have a lock. They go to the back, they take a rock, and they break the rear slider window or the rear windows, and they can gain entry. If you have the security laminate specifically on the rear windows or on the rear doors that are glass, it would prevent that glass from shattering by having security laminate. Now, if times are tight, you could do one window, 1 month, or one other if you have a little bit of money. And there's different thicknesses of the security laminate. And I'm not sure if you know this, it actually prevents up to a 9mm bullet from actually going into the home by having the thickness of the laminate. And there's also like a little bit of a molding that goes on it as well. But security laminate would prevent most of these burglaries because once they hit it and it doesn't shatter, they don't want to create a lot of noise, so they're going to wind up leaving. So that's security laminate is huge. No one really talks about it. You ever talked about that?
No, I never heard that.
It's my first time hearing
security laminate. You can Google it. It's really big. And then there's also the shutters. I'm not the fan of the shutters because it looks very military-like you're like shuttering down the home. But the truth is...
It's like the Purge movie.
Times are changing.
It's scary.
But it depends where you live. If you live on a corner house, then I'm okay with that. A lot of corner houses are victimized because it's easy in and out.
Right.
So maybe for a corner house is or
important. Even on busy streets.
Yeah, so... Again, laminate, screws, lighting, shrubbery being short so criminals can't hide, among the shrubbery in general. So there's a lot of little things that you could do in general to prevent burglaries from happening. A lot of people have this, they love the doorbell thing, right? They love the
ring.
The ring. You have a ring?
Mm-hmm. We're getting one. Okay. We don't have one.
Here's the problem. If I have a mask, and everyone's wearing masks, and it actually is becoming... Some of the criminals that are out there, I believe, are wearing the mask more often because, it's more acceptable to wear a mask because because of the COVID.
Right.
I mean, you see people walking around. There's no reason for this guy to be walking around with a mask. You know what I'm saying? So they're using it as a way to cloak their face in the community. Not saying that everybody's wearing a mask is a bad person, but the bottom line is, it's just we never walked around in the community, with a mask on, and it's preventing the identification. So if I come to your house, I break the door, you got the camera. Who cares? You can't see the guy. He's wearing a mask or he's wearing gloves. So the goal is, what people don't get is, it's so exciting to videotape, to see who's at my front door when I'm at work or I'm somewhere. But when they break down the door and the guy's in a mask, who cares?
Right.
You need to make your home more of a fortress in order to prevent someone from gaining entry into the home than more filming it. It's great to have film, but what are you going to show the cops? Some guy in a mask?
Right.
And so the key is this. Spend the money to make your home more of a fortress, not to get people paranoid. Spend that money more on cameras. Because even if someone breaks in from the rear slider door and they just see some guy in a mask, all right, great. What does that do for the cops? Right. If there's no DNA or if there's no blood or there's no anything, what do you got besides some video of, I got burglarized and you got a videotape of it, which is great. But the bottom line is
renters insurance.
Yes. You gotta prevent people from gaining access into your home, which is really important.
Yeah.
But anyway, so last thing as we got a few minutes to wrap up, but here's a question for you. So I know that you're becoming, it'll be interesting. You're at how many people are following you right now?
42,000.
42,000. So by July 1st, what do you think that you'll be, how many people following you?
I would say, I'm hoping by July, 100,000.
100,000, okay.
Yeah. That's just, I'm going by what I'm going up. I rate that I'm going up.
So I guess the question I was to ask you is, I always feel that people, whether a business or if you're having a lot of people follow you, are you going to have a nonprofit like component of helping people in different ways? Because you're sharing your thoughts and your opinions. Are you planning, like, if I had to say to you, like, what would you do to help people to solve problems or do different things? You talk about different things. Is there anything that you can do because you're getting more exposure now? People are following you. I actually think one of the things, I'm thinking of you right now, what your answer would be.
Okay.
You did one video, remember, where you were walking and like you were going to vote. So changing people's mind about voting would be one of them, right?
That's funny you said. That was a long time ago. That's when I was voting for Trump.
You're like,
I'm going to vote right now, in person. In person.
I'm gonna mail mine in. You could mail several in for your name. How much of you know that?
Don't get me on the mail-in votes.
This is my vote. I can mail a few in. So actually, you could leverage social media with people following you to go vote. Hey, do me a favor. It's voting time. If you want to make a change, please vote. Whether Republican, Democrat, if you like something specific. But anything else that you think that you could use your social media attention for, let's just say, good.
Yeah. Listen, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I was a cop there my whole life. We didn't have a lot of homeless people. Honestly. So when I moved to Vegas, I got a soft spot for homeless people.
Same.
Sometimes, in my life, we were all a paycheck away from being homeless. Something happened, something this, your money's not coming in. We've all been there where money was struggling. And, being a cop, we know a lot of homeless is mental illness. Some of the people don't want to get off the street. I get that. But some do. So my thing would be, I always wanted to help the homeless here in Las Vegas because I have trouble passing them without giving them something. I really do. I have a sore spot for, not sore spot, a soft spot in my heart for them. Mm-hmm. My daughter is graduating. She'll have her master's degree from UNLV. She's going to be a therapist. Mm-hmm. Part of her therapy was she went down into the tunnels here in Las Vegas to talk to the homeless. That was part of her thing. And she told me about it. And when she did, I just felt so bad. So if you're asking me if I get to that big and I want the homeless people in Las Vegas would be my biggest thing.
Making a change there, doing something.
Anything to help them
providing
at all.
More resources.
So normally what I do is when I have people come on the show, I'm always thinking like creative, like business and marketing. So I would actually say two things. Actually, first of all, Chase, who's an engineer, can you pull up in a minute the problemsolver.vegas?
Yes.
You can do that? And then there's a spot that says homeless, and I want to share what I did to Danny because April 1st. Actually, Danny, why don't we turn around? Look at the screen over here for some of the followers. So, and on the problemsolver.vegas, what we have going on, people that are listeners.
Fix that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We're just going to fix the other camera here. All right, so what I have is people that are listening audio-wise. I have the problemsolver.vegas, which is a progressive web app. Right. On the app in general, you can add it to your home screen. So one of the things that we could do to help homeless, now I set it up, but it will be active April 1st. If you click on homeless in regards to the app, you could put in information and you, Chase, if you don't mind, read what it says there because it's been further away. There's some of the tabs that are there.
Sure. So right here we've got homeless resources with GPS link. These resources are to help the homeless within our community. Please complete the form at just form completion things, and it's got your name, your last name. Let's see. Are you currently near the location that the GPS link is? When you open the page, it has a GPS thing that you have to allow, and then it's got what are the cross streets. Any comments that you can probably to help find the person. I'm assuming that's what
Absolutely,
that's for?
yes.
Yeah. And then you can attach a photo of whatever would help.
So I made it on the Progressive Web app.
That is awesome.
My friend Greg Geller, who does Progressive Web apps, he actually, we came up with this concept to help homeless. And the goal is this. Wherever you are, let's say you come off the 95 and the highway.
Yeah.
If you go there, it will use your GPS location.
Okay.
You don't have to basically take a photo, but if you want to take a photo of a camping location or of a person, of course, with safety, you can upload the photo and then it will be emailed to different people that deal with the homeless in order for someone to come out to do some community outreach.
Right.
Now, a lot of people may not want any help, but at least that you're doing something to help people. So the goal is starting April 1st that people can use the app. There'll be a news release that's going to go out to explain how it works.
Okay.
And so the goal is to let people know that they could use the app And what's the problem is that when you're in Henderson or Vegas, different places, there's different people that deal with the homeless. So the goal is that this is going to be sent to all different agencies so that someone can go out and they can reply back and say, we're going to handle it. Or we're going to go, it's in Henderson and something like that. But I actually did go to these tunnels with, it's called Shining Light Program, which may be the same program where they went in the tunnels. And I did practice using it at the location, taking a photo, and then it sends an email. So once you fill it out, you can be anonymous as well. You press, submit, and then it will be emailed to several different nonprofits, Shining Light, different places, and then people can go out and try to help the homeless. So at least you're doing something. If you don't
That's awesome.
If you don't want to give money in general, so maybe you could help promote.
I will promote that. I will.
And it's only in Vegas, in general.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go out there and I'll videotape myself doing it, how to do it, and everything, and I'll put a TikTok out there, 100%.
So starting April 1st, that's when we can start using the problem. So, and the other thing is this: so you're wearing a hat that says The Miracle. My question to you is: are you selling any type of merchandise?
Not yet.
Okay,
but I will. And if you go to my profile, I do have a sponsor for Patriot gear. So you can click on them. They're great. I buy a lot of stuff from them, especially if you want a tumbler with American flags, stuff like that. If you go to my link, it's on there.
So if you want, I work with another police officer. His name is Hutch with 702 Wolf Enterprises, and he actually does shirts or different things. What I would recommend doing is, I like the hat situation, just like I have the Problem Solver shirt. I actually have that. Let's actually throw that up to one last thing, Chase, if you don't mind. On the ProblemSolver.Vegas, there's a spot. And I think what you also need is, I'm making you work here these days.
That's all right.
But I think that the Miracle 35, needs an app. Take a look over here.
Right.
So this is my shirt, the Problem Solver, and you can click on it. And I actually think it says you can pick which nonprofit that you want money to go to when you buy the shirt. Money proceeds will go to it. What does it say on the bottom? It says...
We've got St. Jude's right here, American Cancer Society, Injured Police Officers Fund, and the Shine a Light Foundation.
Awesome.
So what I could do is to help you. What I actually like to do is I like to actually have my friend Greg Geller, and I know he's going to want to do this from his company because he does these mobile apps, that I'm sure he would sponsor your app for free.
Okay.
And then you could put the resources of helping different people, whatever you want to put on there. Then you could have hats or shirts, and then you can donate some of the money depending upon what nonprofits or that you want people to, if they buy a shirt or buy a hat, proceeds can go to whether it's a homeless foundation or something like that. The Shining Light is the one that is a nonprofit locally here, helping people that are in the tunnels.
Okay.
So that's my take on you to help other nonprofits and help other people, because I think it's great when you're doing something and you're having fun, but at least that that you're supporting nonprofits and doing some good. At least you go to sleep at night. And if people that are following you, all you have to say, look, buy a shirt, buy this, and this month the money's going to Shining Light. This month it's going to St. Jude's. So at least you're doing some good, I feel, in society. I know that I'm happy when I'm involved with nonprofits, and I feel good about the work that I've done and leave a little bit of a legacy in general of doing these things. And hopefully my children will follow, my son Kyle, who's 3 years old. I mean, the question is he going to be the future problem solver, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to.
I love that.
Living with you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. So as we wrap up, any other comments for the Miracle 35 today? Any other things you want to say, preach, messages, shout outs, anything like that?
Yes. Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
I think, and I'm going to say this to everybody out there, for us to get going as a country again, we have to unite. We can't hate each other for different opinions. And I'm going to be honest with you, I fell into this too. Somebody doesn't say something that I like or politically, I'm like, I hate that guy. And you know what? I stop myself because it's wrong. This is America. We all have different opinions, and we got to respect it. And we got to respect it, and that's how we're going to grow as a country and come back together. Because if we stay divided like this, it's not good for our country. We have to get back together and respect our opinions.
I agree. Amen on that. All right. Yes. So if anyone wants to get in touch with Danny Miner, the Miracle 35, you go to TikTok, the Miracle 35.
Yes. Any
phone numbers you want to give? We're just telling people to go to TikTok.
Yeah, just go to TikTok.
We need like a Miracle 35 hotline.
There.
We need like a hotline number.
I'm hoping the next time I come back on this show, I'll have 100,000 followers.
There you go.
If I didn't get the Trump people really mad at me today.
All right. No one can be mad at the Miracle 35. He's just speaking the truth. He's giving his honest opinion, and that's what the key is. Would you rather the guy to lie to you? That's not what we want in general. So again, I really appreciate what you're doing. Maybe we could work together in some nonprofit stuff like that. I actually like the idea of the app and some shirts and different things. And if people want to follow you and they want to support you, at least you're supporting some nonprofits locally in town. And there also could be a nationwide one, Second Amendment, or there's different nonprofits that are out there. Cool. Beja, anything that you want to share? Any thoughts? Any opinions? Anything you're feeling? How you feeling?
I just love this. I love what you do.
I appreciate that.
And
I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess I'm doing something.
Just being involved and just helping others, I think.
Yeah.
It's my biggest thing, and that's what I love to do too. So if you need any help, you can always reach out to me as well.
Okay,
I'll
sounds
give you my
good.
information.
And by the way, yeah, so we're always available to help, but we'll go back and forth in general. Again, I really appreciate you guys. Beja, thanks for so much for co-hosting as usual. Thanks to Chase for engineering, everybody at Sticky Pot Studios. So again, I'm David Kohlmeier, the problem solver, every single week, Thursdays at 4:30, go live with different people, amazing people like Danny Miner, who's the Miracle 35, basically just voicing his opinion about what's going on in general. And I think he's going to wind up leveraging it in regards to helping people. And the goal is that he can help solve problems, even if he's just talking about voting. Maybe he gets some people off their butt in order to go to vote when it comes down to when gas prices are being high or if there's no food in the shelves. I mean, there is a way of leveraging, whether it's TikTok or any social media, to get your opinion out there in order to do good. So he's actually helping different people have different ideas and think about things, and maybe they want to run for politics, maybe they want to make some changes. So in that regards, I think that Danny the Miracle 35 is actually solving problems in different ways, especially with using social media and leveraging it and getting communication out to the public, which we're fortunate because the people in places like Russia and stuff like that, you can't get your message out. You're censored by that in general. So we're lucky to be living here. And as I mentioned, one of the last podcasts, that when we look at the American flag, when people that are military and soldiers look at the American flag, that means home. And we're very fortunate to see that American flag anywhere at a base or in America at the gas station. We take it for granted. And again, it's precious to live in the United States of America.
Yes.
So take
Amen.
Take it. Just God bless that we live in this great country. So again, I'm David Kohlmeier, the problem solver. I'll see you next Thursday. Be safe and take care of each other.